Hi everybody, I'm HP and today is the first day of your new life. Why is that so? Because today is the day where you start getting into the world of modes. Modes is something, is a very popular question. Everybody wants to play modes. And I think every guitar player comes from the pentatonics. And playing pentatonics, or improvising with pentatonics and improvising with modes is like, I don't know, it's like 20 times more difficult, or you need to have more knowledge from the pentatonics, because on the pentatonics actually you don't need to know anything, you just need to play the pentatonics and more or less it sounds right. But on the modes you really need a lot more knowledge, a lot more practice, and a lot more thoughts or theoretical thoughts behind it, and it takes a much longer time till you're really able to use your knowledge of modes in your personal improvisation. And actually modes work either in rock, in pop, even in blues, of course in jazz. In jazz you cannot play jazz without knowing the modes. But I just want to give you a first introduction into modes and show you my system, which from my view is it's a little bit more difficult in the beginning, because you need a lot, you need to think pretty much about a few things first, but then in the end when you got it, you're able to play over the whole fretboard and you never get lost with those modes, and you don't need to practice like 1000 patterns if you want to play all modes. You just need to know a few numbers, and that's the point. So let's get started. In this tutorial here I'm just going to talk about major modes. There are 4 different types of modes. We have the major modes, the minor modes, harmonic minor modes, and melodic minor modes. But we only talk about major modes, but I really recommend that you pay most attention to this tutorial, because if you know this tutorial, the rest is just some kind of adaptation and is much easier. So maybe if you go through this tutorial the first time you don't really get it, go through it on and on till you get it, and then you're ready to get into modes. So let's get it started. Major modes. This comes from the major scale, which everybody knows by ear. This one here. You know this scale or this mode. It's a normal major. You can play it in very different positions, and so on. The major scale contains 7 notes, and these 7 notes, and then it starts from the beginning again. So it's very important that you first know the major scale, and well, let's check it out on the closure, that you can follow my explanations on the fretboard. But for now it's more there are more things to think about. So let's go to the closure first. So to get a proper understanding of modes, you need to understand that the mode is a summary of intervals. So what is an interval? An interval is called, when you play 2 notes, they create an interval. In this case, I play in this one the first fret, the F, and I play the F sharp, and this is a flat 9 or flat 1, or a small second, or this is this interval. And since we have 12 notes, because 1, 2, 3, 4, and from 12 it starts from the beginning again, you have 12 intervals that you should know. Now if you know the major mode or the major scale, which is, I played on one string because it's easier to understand just by looking to the scale. So we play the F major mode, or F major scale, is this one here. Very cool, easy. Yeah, and the major scale contains the intervals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. So it's very easy, you just count them. and it's just from 1 to 7. Now, what is with the notes in between? So, this is the 1. This is the 2, so the F sharp, that was a mistake of mine. This is either a flat 2, flat means going down, or sharp 1 means going up. 1, going half step up means sharp, and going 1 down is flat. So this is either sharp 1 or sharp or flat 2. From here, from the 2 to the 3, this is either sharp 2 or flat 3. Actually, mostly it's flat 3, and this is mostly flat 2. And then we have the 3, 4 is normal. Then we have next one between those is either sharp 4 or flat 5. From 5 to 6 is either sharp 5 or flat 6. And from 6 to 7 is either sharp 6 or flat. Wait a minute. Hold on. From to 7, sorry, or flat 7, of course. And here we are back to the first note again. So these are all intervals which are available. And now every mode is a summary of 7 intervals. The major mode is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now, when you start counting from the next note here, this will be here, and now this becomes the 1, then the scale will be like this. See? So, some of you might say, oh, what's the deal? It's the same notes, it's the same scale. It is not, because when you check the intervals, now we have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and 1. So how you find out those intervals? Learn them by heart, or just count. I mean, you can do it the way you want. I would learn them by heart because I think that's the fast way. And after a certain time, you can use both methods. And this scale here, is actually the second step of the major scale, and this is called Dorian mode. Now nobody plays it on one string. Some of you do, but that you see the difference. I played it on one string. Of course, you can play it in any position just by using the intervals. Now 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can have here a 6. You can jump around the positions as you like, as long as you know the intervals. 6, flat 7, 1. This is the Dorian scale. This is the summary of intervals. Going to the next, the third is actually, now again, this is the scale which happens. As I said, some of you might say, oh, this is still F major, but it's not. New intervals, this is the Phrygian mode. 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and back to 1. So now to explain a one swing, now I'll show you the actual positions, like the basic positions where to start. I mean, you can play any kind of positions or patterns, but we need to start somewhere to practice those modes. So the F major scale will be something like this. So you can choose another one. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference which one you choose, as long as you have your intervals in mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. F Ionian. G Dorian. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. G Dorian. A, this is the A, Phrygian. 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 1, flat 7, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, A phrygian. Now we go to the next one. This is actually B flat Lydian, is on the 4th step. And what is interesting to know as well, like is on each step of the major scale is always the same mode. Always on the 1 is Ionian, on the 2 is always Dorian, on the 3 is always Phrygian. On the 4 is always Lydian, which is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 1. B flat Lydian. Now, next one. C mixolydian. Again, the scale 1, 2, no, let's take this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, and now 2 to go, and then we finished. Next is D aeolian. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, and last but not least, E locian, and there we have it. This scale 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, and 1, and here we on Ionian again. So these were the 7 modes. Now to each step of the major scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. There is a mode related Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixolydian, aeolian, locian, Ionian, and a chord. Where the chords come from? The chords come from, if you on the scale, if you add thirds. So let's take the first F again. So we skip 1. This gives skip again 1. So this gives an F major 7 chord. So this is the explanation. You just add triads, and this gives you the chord on each step. You don't need to know this about the triads, just know by heart which chord type is on which step. So on the 1 is either a major chord or a major 7 chord. Depends on the style you're playing. It doesn't really matter if it's a 7th chord or just a normal chord. On the second one we have a minor chord or a minor 7 chord, and the related scale Dorian. Third one, we have a minor 7 chord or a minor chord and related scale Phrygian. Fourth, we have a B flat major chord or B flat major 7 chord, related scale Lydian. On the fifth, we have a major chord and or a major 7, so a dominant 7 chord, sorry. Related scale mixolydian. On the sixth we have aeolian, related chord minor or minor 7. On the 7th, there's an exception, we have a minor 7 flat 5 chord. You can look in the chord book or wherever you would, or a diminished chord. And related scale locian. So these are now the fundamentals of the modes. Each step has a mode and a chord. Now you notice by now that on the 1, the 4 and the 5 we have a major scale. not a major scale, sorry, a major chord if you just play in triads. So F, so if you have a summary of those three chords, how you find out which is which step? Actually, you find it out mostly with like in 80% of the cases, the first chord shows you the root position. The root position, it will be F. So if the first major chord is an F, you know, okay, this is the Ionian. And you also see from the progression, like when it moves around, you see, okay, this is 1, 4, 5 with the scale, Ionian, Lydian, and mixolydian. And now, yeah, you notice by now, we have three different positions for a minor chord. We have on the 2 Dorian, on the 3 Phrygian, and the 6 aeolian. So also from the progression, you find out which is which step. So if we have like F to B flat to G minor to C, so this is 1, 4, 2, 5. And then you know, okay, there I have to play Dorian. This is one thing to know. And the second, also very important thing to know, and that's where comes my system with the interval really starts to work. If you know position, like of Ionian, and you know the intervals, Ionian is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now you can play F Lydian in the same position, just adapting the intervals. Since you know Lydian is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, you can play F Lydian 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Or if you want to play F mixolydian, just adapt the scale from Ionian to mixing. The difference is now the 7. The Ionian has a 7 and the mixing has a flat 7. The difference between Ionian and Lydian is 4 and flat and sharp 4. So just look where the 7 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make it a flat 7, move it down. And now we have it. F mixolydian. So if you have any kind of a pattern of a major scale, like I don't know, like for example this one here, you easily can make it to Lydian, just changing that one note. In this case 4 becomes sharp 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so sharp 4. And now voila, we have Lydian. Or you want to change it to mixolydian. Count 1, 7 becomes flat 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, make it flat 7, and voila. And that's the way it works. And this way you can play any kind of mode if you just know any kind of those three modes, if you know the normal Ionian pattern. Now, what is the difference between the three minor scales? Very easy. The difference between Dorian and aeolian is also one note. This one here. Dorian is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. So, and aeolian, the 6 becomes a flat 6, and then we have aeolian. So if you want to play G aeolian, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and 1. And if you want to play G Phrygian, the difference between aeolian and Phrygian is also one note. In aeolian is 1, 2, flat 3, and the rest is the same. And in Phrygian is 1, flat 2, flat 3. So, and here we have it, Phrygian. And Locian, the last one, stands for itself. You should know that one by heart. So, now we have it together. If you know the intervals by heart, you need to know those 7 rows of number by heart. Just learn them. There's no trick, no shortcut. learn it by heart. Check it out on the fretboard or on any position you like. I mean, I just showed one position. You can play it anywhere, or you can play on one string if you want. That's also a possibility. And then really get to know that stuff. The next step, I'm going to make a tutorial later. Now, if you want to get into practical use now, if you learn now, you can use those chords. Records any kind of backing track. Normally, the most common is 1, 4, 5 progression. So, in the case of F, B flat, C. Pretty easy. Now you can play the mode. So 1, ionian, to 4, lydian, C, mixolydian. So now you play it by just moving it on the fretboard. But the cooler trick is stay in position. 1, ionian, B flat major is here. Now you start here. Count 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And C. As long as you know the intervals, you can play it on any position you like. I mean, there are two tricks. You know the intervals by heart, and you see the intervals on the fretboard. That will take a pretty long time to really able to improvise by seeing the intervals immediately and hearing them. Or in this case, you just stay in position. This is the normal major scale, 1, 2, 3. Then you just count. So this is the 1, 2, 3. So when you start on the 4, of course, this is the Lydian scale, and you start on the 5. This is the mixolydian scale. So there are two ways which lead to the mode of your choice. By counting on the roots scale, which is the major scale, or knowing the intervals by heart. I strongly recommend that you know the intervals by heart, because now on easy improvisation you can cheat just by playing major all the time and just somehow play something which just fits. But when you really want to refer to the chords later, if you start improvising to chords, you add a mode to each chord which is coming. And in most cases, it is not as easy as it in this example. Now we have only 7 chords and 7 modes. Sometimes some chords appear which are actually not in this row here of F, as I showed. And in this case, you first need to analyze the piece and find out the modes of each chord, and then you really can get into more sophisticated lead guitar or soloing than with the pentatonics. I mean, there's a philosophical question. You can play solo with pentatonics anyway, and you don't need to know the modes, but the point is that you always will sound the same. And somehow you want to have a much richer expression on the guitar, and the only way to get there is either you're a genius and you just press one note on the fretboard and it just fits perfect, but none of us, or maybe like 1 out of a million, is like this. And the other way is going the hard way. I also did the hard way. Just learning that stuff by heart, repeating it all the time. And I know that the beginning, getting into modes, is very hard till you really get the point. What is the difference between the major scale and the modes? Because somehow you think it's the same thing. You just start on another note. But the point is different intervals. And when you go more into motif soloing and sophisticated soloing, you really adapt to the chord and the intervals of the specific mode. And therefore you really have to know that stuff. Just nail it down till you, I mean, you can, I don't know, drink a beer or watch television and just say, okay, I'll play phyrgian. and then you have it, you know. Yeah, I hope this was useful for you. This is really the very, very essentials of the modes. Even you thought, okay, the video is now, I think it's about 25 minutes long. You think you watch it once, watch it several times till you really get the point, the relation between the root scale. Once again, the root scale is major. You understand that each step of the root scale has a specific mode and a specific chord, which comes out of the interval rows, which are defined actually by the root scale, but where you start on the scale gives you another interval row then from another point, and that is the big difference. And once you know this stuff by heart, you can start anywhere, or you be anywhere, and you see exactly the interval you're playing related to the specific mode which is currently on that chord available. Sounds very complicated and it takes really some time to getting into this. As I said in the very beginning, the difference between pentatonic soloing and soloing with the modes is like, I don't know, if you're into I don't know, soccer, is like we have the different leagues. Like this is now the highest class, and the way, like the pentatonics, the beginnings, you can solo with pentatonics in a matter of 2 months or 3 months. I mean, if you can play the pentatonics, you can play it in 1 month. You can solo with pentatonics, not a problem. You don't need any knowledge. This is very me now, any talent. And it works. But when it comes to soloing with modes, there's a lot of background information. Now in this tutorial is very much compressed in these 20 or 25 minutes, but to really being able to put it on the fretboard is really, you need to repeat these intervals over and over again. Check your positions. I mean, you can buy any kind of books showing any kind of patterns and positions on a specific mode, but you can work it out yourself just by adapting each mode and their relation to the major modes. Ionian, Lydian and mixolydian are related to each other. The difference is only one note. And the minor modes, the three, dorian, phrygian and aeolian, also related to each other. The difference is also only one note when you go through the circle. And once you got that nailed down, you really are able to play freely with the modes. But take your time, don't exaggerate, relax. Also go on vacation, don't work non-stop to really get that stuff nailed down. And then you're ready to do these modes. Yeah, and I will be gonna add some examples in the future. If you have this basic knowledge down, of course, then it comes to playing examples and really going into this kind of soloing. And it's whatever technique you play on the guitar, even if you play touch technique, I don't know. There, even with the touch technique, or especially with the touch technique where you really break out of any pattern, this knowledge is absolutely a must. Otherwise you cannot play this stuff. You need to get liberated from this pattern playing, which I recommend to any guitar player, because pattern playing, you find patterns everywhere in the internet, but you need to get free of it and just know where you are and hear where are the next intervals you want to play. Yeah, there was a lot of talking, not much playing. I have an injury on my finger still. It's really very boring. I could not play for 3 weeks. Since I started guitar, I never had such a long break in guitar playing. And I really hope it will get better one day. It's an infection. But I think this is very useful tutorial for you, and hopefully next week I'm able to play basic stuff again on the guitar. I mean, I still can, but it's still a little bit painful, yeah. So enjoy, and if you have any questions, please ask directly here on this topic on YouTube. I guess there will come some questions you can ask here, that we answer them, and so that everybody can read it, so I don't have to answer to everybody, because I think the similar questions will come, and then we can really check it out. So have some fun and see ya.